Just recently, the World Economic Forum, or WEF, put out an article about the popularity of these so-called 15-minute cities, and a rather deceptive picture of how it was trending on Google search trends as the evidence of this, which is rather hilarious really, because the actual results show it wasn't popular until recently. But more importantly, this spike is not due to its popularity, but instead widespread opposition to this controversial idea. Today I'll give you a quick rundown of what you need to know, including who's behind this, which cities they're being trialled in, and why the reality of it is completely opposite to what the World Economic Forum is advertising. Then finally a solution that we can all do to change this craziness. So do make sure you stick around to the end for this. So as the name suggests, it's the belief that an existing city can be converted into districts where everything that you need can be accessed within a 15-minute radius of walking or cycling. This includes things like schools, hospitals, grocery stores and recreational areas and so on. Although the concept behind it has been around for many decades and used in places like the Soviet Union, the term 15-minute city was only made just recently by Carlos Moreno, who is a Colombian-born city planner. In a TED Talk in 2021, Carlos explained that his motivation for these cities was the climate. He also mentioned that the 15-minute cities would require a new economic model. Now, the concept didn't actually take off until the start of the pandemic. The story goes that it was city planners in Paris, on noticing that people would stay in their local areas because of the pandemic. And this gave them the idea to try out Carlos's 15-minute cities concept. But the thing is, the mayor of Paris, Anne Hidalgo, had already planned on dividing the city months beforehand into 15-minute city districts, as it was part of her re-election campaign, well before the pandemic. Not surprisingly, Anne is a contributor to the WEF and its global agenda. Although this is what they, the WEF and the others involved, want, it is not so popular with the average persons that it will actually affect. The WEF and other organisations that have been rather obsessed with achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. Now, for anyone not familiar with these SDGs, they are a set of 17 goals created by the UN, which are supposed to be met by all member countries by 2030. On the surface, it may seem benign and good for us and the environment, but in reality they prescribe to some pretty terrifying technologies, such as the digital ID. Now this leads us to the next question, which is who is behind this 15-minute city push? And the answer is the C40 Cities Climate Leadership Group. The C40 accounts for 97 of the world's largest cities, which account for 1/12 of the global population and 1/4 of the global economy. It was originally founded as C20 in 2005 by the then London Mayor Ken Livingstone. What is telling is that it merged with the Clinton Climate Initiative. The Clinton Climate Initiative has its roots in the Clinton Foundation, and let's just leave it there for now, shall we? The C40 seems to have gained traction after the Paris Agreement in 2015, which was hosted by Anne. Now the C40 is currently headed by London Mayor Sadiq Khan, and its board of directors is headed by billionaire and former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, who also owns Bloomberg News. Next, in July 2020, the C40 published an article, How to Build Back Better with a 15-Minute City. Shortly afterwards, many of the 97 cities that are part of the C40 announced plans to radically transform themselves to fit in with the theoretical SDG compliance city, which was created by Carlos and his colleagues. In January in 2022, the C40 published another article which highlighted Barcelona, Bogota, Buenos Aires, Melbourne, Milan, Paris and Portland as being a few of the first movers. As you may have guessed, transforming a city into this isn't cheap. That's why C40 announced they are partnering with NREP to pilot the 15-minute concept in 5 UN-named cities in September last year. NREP is a Danish investment firm worth $19 million in assets under management, and that figure is growing fast. NREP also owns 6 million square metres of real estate across Denmark, Finland, Sweden, Norway and Poland. Also, NREP has received untold amounts of money from mostly unnamed investors. Also, we must mention that this 15-minute city pilot is not a two-organisation show. The C40 NREP partnership announcement notes that the pilot includes 2 additional partners, which is the United Nations and Carlos. They all hope that the result will be implemented internationally. So this brings us to the next question. Why did the 15-minute cities gain so much publicity just recently? Was this because of its raving fans or the opposite? You will notice that this trend started in the middle of November 2022. This was when Oxfordshire Council in the United Kingdom published its final plans for a 15-minute city pilot, and they were popular because they showed up the truth of what the WEF, C40 and others had published or advertised about these 15-minute cities. So these 15-minute cities were meant to make life easier and healthier for us, while also being good for our environment and the community. But from this Oxford pilot, it has showed up that it actually meant setting up cameras everywhere to track the every move of its citizens. And this was to make sure no citizen would leave their designated district too many times. In the case of the Oxford pilot, this would be enforced through what they are calling traffic filters that will automatically issue fines to offending vehicles. This 15-minute city pilot is scheduled to commence in the beginning of 2024 and will see the city of Oxford divided into 6 districts. In this pilot, someone living in a district will only be able to cross into another district 100 times annually, and after that, fines get issued. Now, although 100 times sounds a large number to some, it was brought up that some people on their daily commute to work would cross many districts. The council addressed this by saying that they could just use the ring roads outside of the main city, and the public chimed in to then point out that this would waste a lot of time and cause a lot more pollution, and wasn't reducing car use and pollution the whole point of the 15-minute city. So in response to this, the council then ignored the public comments it received during the consultation period, which lasted from early October to mid-November 2022. 93% of the 4,814 comments it received were opposed to the 15-minute cities, and for multiple valid reasons. Instead of acknowledging that the 15-minute city concept was rather unpopular, they went gung-ho at removing and silencing comments of opinions that were different to their narrative. Now, when the people of Oxford pushed back, the council went to the mainstream media to publish articles about how the council members were getting abused. The council also started posting FAQs, and they didn't actually answer the questions. And they also said that the 93% comments that opposed the 15-minute city were fake news because only 8% of people said that they were actually opposed, whereas the rest gave specific reasons as to why they were opposed. And somehow because of that, the latter doesn't matter and don't count. So now we will take a look at the fun stuff, the solutions. So some of the residents got creative with this situation and did the following with duct tape, which is brilliant in my opinion, and rather amusing to watch. But in all seriousness, we do have some more powerful solutions that pack some punch. Here's a rundown of the steps that you can do to take your power back today. On the public notice for Oxford City Council regarding the 15-minute cities, we're asking everyone to sign the bottom right-hand corner of that notice and take a photo of it and put it into our Facebook page or email it to us or post it. The other thing we are asking people to do is turn it over, and you would have double-sided printed it, and on the other side you'll put the invoice information, where you can handwrite out the information we have written out for you. That invoice is for your information, it's your address, your bank account details, it's everything for you. It's just helping you to write up an invoice with all the information you need. And then post that into the Oxford City Council. Post a copy, of course, and keep the original. And then what you do is you get as many people as you can to do this. Everyone does one of these, then they will be in default. And that is law. That public notice is law. It's proper. We will inform you if there is a challenge or a counterclaim. And we have actual scientists that can prove or disprove, but they actually have disproved the wondrous thing called climate change. So this is just what it is. It's very simple. And we are just trying to kickstart the fact that the resolve is within you, the authority is within you, and these administrators are supposed to be working for you.
Say more or less what other people are going to say about the effect of these 15-minute neighbourhoods, soon to become digital ID facial recognition zones. Let's say my friend lives in Zone 3 and I'm in Zone 1. If, for example, I went to my friend's house in Zone 3, my parents normally come and pick me up in their car. It only takes 10 minutes. So does that mean that they would have to go round the ring road and back into town again? If my mum or dad had to drive round the ring road, it would take 30 minutes, causing much more pollution and leaving a much bigger carbon footprint. They will say, you can walk home. Would that be safe for me to walk home? Me as a 12-year-old walking home in the dark alone. Is that really going to be safe? Then they will say, oh, don't worry about that. We've already thought of that. You'll be safe. We will have 1,000 cameras on the streets following you and tracking you all the way home. Oh, and just remember, it's for your safety. What? Are you serious? Do you really think I want to be watched every second of the day? Are you serious? Thousands of cameras tracking my every move until I get home. At this point, I have to ask, is my safety that important to me that I want to be followed by cameras all the way home? Or do I prefer to have freedom than privacy? For your information, I still wouldn't feel safe. No amount of cameras is going to stop someone who wants to attack me. I want to be safe, but not to the extent that I am prepared to give up my freedom and my privacy to have it. As a 12-year-old, I am really concerned about my future. And to Klaus Schwab, I say this. How dare you! How dare you steal my childhood and my future, and the future of all children by enslaving us in your crazy digital surveillance prison. We all know where this is leading. These are the first steps of a dystopian reality called 15-minute neighborhoods. From a small seed, a huge tree can grow. Climate change is being used to control us, to nudge us in the direction the greedy people want us to go. The truth is that the greedy people want total control over everything we do, everything we think, and everything we say. Our government has been hijacked by greedy and selfish imposters posing as politicians. They believe they are better than us and masters over us. And until this problem is effectively dealt with, the tyranny will continue. Thank you.